Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 4 of season 4 of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where today we're here back for the Chinese Grand Prix. Now obviously if you missed out on the last video that went live a couple of days ago, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out from the Vietnamese Grand Prix. It was a brilliant race. Once again, we've had 3 races so far this season, and they've all been brilliant in sort of their own weird and wonderful way to kick off the new season. Obviously, like I said, go check that video out. There will be spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. So, heading into round 4 of the season then, we currently sit top of the World Championship, 3 points ahead of Alex Albon there, and just 4 points ahead of our old teammate George Russell as well there. However, we're yet to win a race this Grand Prix. We're the only driver to get 3 podiums on the board. But yeah, so far, consistency has been our key in the early races of the season there. 2 second places and a third with 2 fastest laps there. And you can see Alex Albon, George Russell, and our teammate Lewis Hamilton all have a win apiece as well. So 3 different winners from 3 different teams so far this season. We've already had as many different teams win Grand Prix in Season 4 as we saw in the entirety of Season 3. And we're only 1 driver short as well there. Obviously, like I said, 4 points separating the top 3 in the Drivers' World Championship. 9 points separating the top 3 in the Constructors, as we are currently tied with Red Bull, who really do seem to have made a resurgence of form in the early races this season. But anyway, let's dive in then here to round 4 of the season. It's time for Shanghai. So here we are then, back in Shanghai once again for Season 4 of this career mode. Back with, of course, qualifying to kick off the weekend. We're going out, as we always do, straight into Q2, straight on a set of mediums to see what is going to be possible here. Now, the one-stop strategy is certainly doable around Shanghai, but if you can start on mediums, you normally set yourself up for a lot better Grand Prix around this track. The soft tyres have never been particularly great around this circuit, so hopefully we can get through on a set of mediums, but we're just how tightly bunched it seems to be between the likes of Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, and ourselves at the moment. It might be a bit difficult to try and do that as we lock up both the front wheels in different occasions there. That was quite impressive. I think this lap might already be a bit of a write-off, but we may as well continue. Coming down the back straightaway then, speeds in excess of 215 miles an hour. Let's try and spot the braking point for the penultimate corner there. Brake just as the curb starts. Try to get the car rotated through. Verstappen, I think, is currently fastest on a 28.4. We probably need a sub-29 if we want to get through. That's not the line through the final corner, once again locking up, and it's going to be a 130.3. That's not going to cut the mustard. We're going to have to go out on softs. So, getting ready then to start our second attempt then. You can see George Russell has also tried going out on the mediums, and again, just like ourselves, has not been able to make it work around this Shanghai circuit. But we've got about 6.5 minutes left on the clock. I don't want to leave it too late, just in case we make another mistake on this run. But hopefully, ooh, a little bit wide in towards the first corner. Can we spot the apex in the end? Yeah, just about. Still, as we head through the first couple of corners, we should hopefully obviously make it through, as long as we don't make any major mistakes. The car does still feel quick around this circuit, but yeah, we're definitely going to need sort of a 27, and I'll be happy. Coming towards the end of this run, you can see we're about 1.5 seconds up as we head down the back straightaway here, so we should be on for at least sort of a mid-28, but there should definitely be a bit more time in the final few corners. Just still really struggling with front locking around this circuit, so we don't get a particularly good run out of the hairpin there. 1 more corner to go, though. Keep it between the white lines, nice and tidy. We are going to find about 2 seconds. A 28.2, though. Only 5th place, really struggling to get to grips with the car this weekend. I might need to try and look at trying to change the brake slightly, if we can, obviously. Parc Fermé's on. That should, hopefully, though, get us into Q3. So there we go, then. Q2 done and dusted, and we do make it through into the third and final session then here from China. You can see George Russell, though, looking very quick. Up fastest in Q2 there, well, almost 0.5 seconds over his teammate Bottas and our teammate Lewis Hamilton there. Ferrari, once again, seem to be good in qualifying trim. I'll be intrigued to see what they can do in the race as well there, as well as Sergio Perez and Dani Kvyat getting through alongside ourselves. We're going to get 2 shots at this in Q3. We need to make them count. We need to be aiming for sort of a 27-7, sort of where Hamilton is, if we want any chance of a good Grand Prix. So, heading out then into Q3, I'll be honest, the track looking a little bit overcast as we get into this final session of Saturday's running. We've got our teammate just in front of us, so hopefully he won't hold us up all too much as we head through the final corner. Let's try and really nail a lap then around this Shanghai Grand Prix circuit. No front locking into a couple of the big braking zones. Let's keep it nice and tidy, clip the apexes where we need to, and really just carry a lot of speed around the track. That is not the way through turn 1 though. What is wrong with us this weekend? Really struggling to try and get the nose where we want it through the first couple of corners, but this is hopefully therefore just going to be our banker lap. We're going to really put this down to the wire. Yeah, that first run was so bad, I actually just ended up bailing out on the lap towards the very end here. So we have really made it difficult for ourselves around this Chinese Grand Prix circuit. We get one more chance to get this hooked up, try and get a good run in here in Q3. Again, I've got no idea what's wrong with us in qualifying trim at the moment. Really just struggling with the car, but yeah, the sun has started to shine once again here from Shanghai, so at least hopefully the track temp's going to be a little bit warmer. Give us a little bit more grip through these front tyres as well. They're much better through the first corner as we just try to get the car back rotated towards the apex through the second part. They're so difficult to work out what the best line is through that first corner there. It just carries on forever and ever there. But we've survived the first sector. Normally not our quickest around the track, but we are still apparently quite quick through that first sector there. Try to avoid the wheel spin as we head up the hill once more into this very quick right-hander. Just a blend on the throttle this time round. Back down a couple of gears for the second part is to try and keep it close to the apex and then rotate it through. Use all the curbing on the exit, but again, avoid the wheel spin as you head out in towards the final sector of the lap. This has definitely felt like quite a decent run so far, but certainly not my finest that we could have ever achieved as well there. George Russell 27.4 as we get all kinds of Larry out onto the back straightaway here. This should be where the car is quick, right towards the end of the lap. We need a 27 here. We can't afford a 28 if we want to have a good weekend here. Down in towards the final couple of corners though. Brake hard as you hit the 100-meter board there. Ride the curbs through there. Try not to run right on the exit. Try not to get any wheel spin as well. One more corner to navigate then here from Shanghai. Really aggressive. This weekend so far, man, what is wrong with us? You can just see really just trying to put it all on the line at the final corner there, but that is us out of qualifying in dramatic fashion. You can just see the back end lifted over the curb. Almost, I think it was Giovinazzi did that same sort of thing in the wet a couple of years ago for Alfa Romeo there, but that is us out of qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. A bitter pill to swallow, down in 10th place. Not what we needed for the race tomorrow. I'll be honest, I don't really know what to say at the end of qualifying there. Just everyone seems to have a lot of pace this weekend. Even Ferrari seem to be right on the money there. But it is Mercedes' first front row lockout of the year there. It's any team's first front row lockout, actually, of the season. But another rough qualifying for myself there. Hamilton P3, so Mercedes definitely seemed like the team to beat this weekend. There was once again Albon looking fast, but Daniel Ricciardo really struggling as well. They're down in 9th place. But we're going to have to make the difference then up in the Grand Prix. Let's do this.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles an hour, with DRS assisting the cars down the back straight before they brake into the sharp hairpin at turn 14. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Kvyat, Perez, Ricciardo, Mr. Monaco and Lance Stroll, Russell, Norris, Carlos Sainz and Gasly, Ocon, Raikkonen, Jordan King and Nobuharu Matsushita, Magnussen, De Vries, Giovinazzi and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
To be honest, normally a top 10 finish sounds pretty easy on F1 2020. Today, yeah, based on this weekend so far, I think a top 10 finish, honestly, I'll be quite happy to be achieving. But here we are then on the grid, ready for round 4 of the season from Shanghai. The team have done a massive effort to get the car ready for the Grand Prix here. In terms of strategy, we're going to try the soft, medium here. I don't think there's going to be really anything else that we can try out in this Grand Prix. Luckily for us, though, we're up 1 place, as George Russell has had some grid penalties, I'm guessing, for some engine component changes as well. So maybe we can try and work with him over the course of this Grand Prix to try and get ourselves towards the front of the field once again. But yeah, not feeling too great ready for this race. Hopefully we can just keep it clean and tidy and make up a few places at the beginning here. The 5 red lights are coming on then. Round 4 of the season here from China. Lights out and away we go. Not a very long hold, but a decent little start for once as we get instantly to the inside of Daniel Ricciardo there. We got Stroll though, being rather aggressive up the inside, so we're going to try and have a look around the outside of a couple of cars through the first corner, and we have done that to Daniel Ricciardo there, almost into the back of Sergio Perez, as Albon is already trying to look past away around our teammate there. What a resurgence of form we've seen from Alex Albon so far this season. Down the inside, though, of Sergio Perez there, and Charles Leclerc and Danny Kvyat get well acquainted on the exit of the corner. But yeah, it looks like Bottas, though, has had the dream start, leads the way comfortably at the front of the field there. My teammate's gone backwards just a couple of places as Perez tries to have a look at the inside as we head towards the end of Sector 2 there. But up 2 spots for ourselves. A decent little getaway in this Grand Prix, which, to be honest, was exactly what we needed here in China. You know, we really shouldn't be battling the likes of AlphaTauri and Racing Point at the moment there as we try to get the power down out onto the back straight. Let's see if we can get a bit of a run on Danny Kvyat then on this opening lap. The AlphaTauri has a very good aero package, but doesn't quite have the same sort of engine performance that some of the front runners have there as we slide past him in towards the final big braking zone of the lap. And there we go, up 3 spots off the start of this Grand Prix. A good little getaway. We've now got Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari just in front of us as, yeah, Bottas leads the way at the end of lap 1 ahead of Albon, our teammate, and Max Verstappen there. 4 cars from 4 different teams in the top 4. Things you love to see. Heading out onto the back straightaway then again as we reach the end of lap 2. Charles Leclerc just going a little bit slowly just in front of us there. We always seem to be strong out onto the back straight. But look at the Ferrari top-end speed there. Might have to dip back into the slipstream just for a brief moment. Charles Leclerc, not too sure what that was about as we try and just get down the inside on the brakes. A very, very aggressive move. Accidentally revving out first gear a lot more than I had originally intended there. But we're up another place. I'm in a 5th. Has been a good little start to this race. Maybe qualifying wasn't for us, but hopefully the race can be a whole lot stronger. So now on lap 3 we have got some DRS, so hopefully the move on Max Verstappen might just be made a little bit easier than last time around trying to get around Charles Leclerc. They can see Verstappen in that Ferrari struggling actually with understeer heading out onto the back straight. That's not going to help him out in that car there, but you can see we're gaining a lot in the DRS. Verstappen though always going to try and defend from being overtaken there. We're going to be much later on the brakes into the hairpin. Full lock, trying to get around the outside. And yeah, the Ferrari, like I said, very, very quick in qualifying trim. Seems to be able to match the top cars, but race pace still, Ferrari just lacking that extra little bit that they need. As Hamilton now has a look back up the inside of Albon in towards the first corner. Hopefully we can gain a bit of time out of this. I think our teammates pulled the move off. Oh, there we go. End of lap 4, Hamilton dives it into the pit lane there. He didn't actually pull off the move on Albon. They did some incredible battling through the middle sector. But yeah, Albon did hold on just in front. But the only real person that benefited, of course, was myself. Now about a second closer to Albon than we were just 1 lap ago. But Bottas appears to be trying to check out in this Grand Prix early on. We've got a car struggling, though. It appears to be one of the Haas cars. This could prove critical in the race if our teammate, if we get a safety car here after Hamilton's already dived into the pits as well as a couple of other people. Who is it? Are they going to be dropping to the wayside in this Grand Prix? I think that is. Who is it going to be? Kevin Magnussen out of the Chinese Grand Prix there. Doesn't appear like we've got a safety car, though. That's quite a surprise. Coming to the end of lap 5, though. Starting to struggle just a little bit with front tyre temps here. So we are going to dive it into the pits. Bottas stays out for another lap. Albon does the same there. So we might be able to try and get a bit of an undercut on the pair of them here. I'm definitely going to be intrigued to see where we come out in comparison to Hamilton. Let's just make sure we get it slowed down nice and tidily into the pit lane. One of the Ferraris of Max Verstappen follows us into the pits. He shouldn't be an issue for holding us up as we head back out onto the circuit there. You can see pretty much all the midfield, though, starting on the medium, so they're probably going to be trying to one-stop this Grand Prix. So that could be interesting to see later on. 2.6. That's not too bad, but not too brilliant either. Where are we going to come out in comparison to Hamilton? There he is as we head into the first corner, side by side with our teammate. But we do hold it up the inside there, and that is critical for our Grand Prix there, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but that is good for Alex Albon as well there. I think we should now net be up into the podium, but now really this race gets all a bit mixed up until all the midfield do their stops. Onto the back straight, Giovinazzi, how bad must that Williams car be that he's struggling that much to get the power down out onto the back straightaway here? It really does feel like Williams have made next to no progress at all so far in the My Team career mode there, but we're around him as we head towards the final couple of corners. I think Bottas and Albon have both pit now in this Grand Prix. Gio didn't cost me too much time, but I can't see us making an undercut on Bottas or Albon in this Grand Prix. We did go purple through the final sector. In fact, there is Alex Albon. Okay, we have been able to pull out the undercut on him then. And Bottas, only about a second in front of us as well there, but he's gone hard. Both of them have gone hards. Can they make it to the end of this Grand Prix? Have we made a bit of a strategy blunder here? Once again, out onto the back straight. Nick de Vries this time round is holding up Valtteri Bottas as we've got a big slingshot run on the pair of them here as we head down the back straight. Bottas aware of it though. He's going to try and box us in behind Nick de Vries. Can we go late on the brakes? We're going to be 3 wide into the corner. Bottas, not too sure what that was. A huge amount of contact, but we do make the move work up the middle. Albeit only just. There was probably going to be a lot of suspension damage had that been done in real life there. But I think we're now up into, theoretically, the net lead of the Grand Prix. I say that, though, I've got no idea what's happening right now in terms of strategy. I mean, it could be. I think that's Lance Stroll in the Racing Point, who is everyone's still at one stop to go, unless, of course, Bottas behind us doesn't need to. I don't know. We'll find out roughly where we are in 20 laps' time. Oh, Matsushita, so slow as we head through Sector 2 there. I wasn't actually expecting to run into the back of him. That's definitely not the line we need on the exit, though, as we have now got around one of the Alfa Romeo cars there. We now got Raikkonen and our former teammate Jordan King. I swear in pretty much every race so far this season, we've come up to Jordan King at some point here. Try and get the power down out onto the back straight. Hopefully we can get close to the pair of them here as Raikkonen seems to have a very quick car actually in a straight line here as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of the lap. Jordan King going to go a bit defensive. Raikkonen, don't move out in front of me, please. Stick the nose up the inside still, and we have pulled off another overtake here. China always seems to deliver overtakes. It really isn't a track to me that seems like it could. It's always a bit strange, the layout around here. It sort of weirdly works in Formula 1 with these modern cars there. But big run on Jordan King, up the inside into the first corner. And now we've got a little bit of breathing room again. That's a bit wide. That's not what we needed to do. Completely dropping the back end through the first corner. And that's going to send us right back down to pretty much where we started after the pit window. What on earth is wrong with me? Towards the end of lap 10 then. You can see we're back behind Nick de Vries and Lewis Hamilton. It's a good job we've got such a huge train right in front of us there. But that should not be a mistake that a reigning 2-time Formula 1 World Champion is making early on in a Grand Prix there. Nick de Vries, though, still struggling in the Haas car. So we're going to get back past him again there. And it must be so depressing driving that car and just going backwards in these races. Matsushita, though, getting in front of Hamilton and Albon there as we head through the final couple of corners. Still, none of these guys diving into the pit, so they are definitely one stop in this Grand Prix. But we're just going to have to try and carve our way through methodically. Hamilton goes up the inside of Matsushita into turn 1. Should be a fairly simple move. Okay, again, a similar sort of run that we got to Matsushita last time. Not expecting him to be that slow. Through the corners. Don't hit our teammate. That was closer than it should have been. But we're up another place. Oh, Albon. Bit of a lock up there. Hopefully Hamilton and I can capitalise on that. As we head out onto the back straight. Should hopefully be able to get a bit of a run on our teammate there as the back end just squirrels around a little bit underneath us there. But Hamilton has got a good run. It seems like Bottas is trying to make moves a little way up the road. 220 miles an hour. As we head down in towards the final couple of corners. Hamilton, a big send up the inside of the Red Bull man, but he cannot get the power down on the exit there. Albon just about going to give him the room around the outside through the final corner. We're going to try and get a bit of a run on the pair of them, however. This is brilliant racing at the moment here, but Hamilton does get the run up the inside of Albon. Hopefully we can follow our teammate past him. As we head in towards the first corner, trying not to hit Albon. We're going to send it up the inside of our teammate as well. A very cheeky move up the inside of 7-time Formula 1 World Champion Lewis Hamilton. A bit risky with him being our teammate. Get the power down on the exit. We lose the place again, so that was all for nothing. But this time around, we keep it pointing in the right direction. That was close. Right, let's try this again then on our teammate Lewis Hamilton. This time around also on Kimi Raikkonen. And look at that! How much Raikkonen is struggling to get the power down out onto the back straightaway. His rally experience certainly coming in useful that time round as Raikkonen tries to go defensive on our teammate Lewis Hamilton. We get the double slipstream on the pair of them, 3 wide. As we head in towards the hairpin, get the car slowed down on the apex. A little bit of contact as Raikkonen tries to turn in on us. But now we're back up into 7th place there. And you can see next up is, once again, our former teammate Jordan King here. Bottas, though, is free from this little train, so I'm intrigued to see what he's going to be able to do on the hard compound tyres here. But we're pretty much now halfway into this Grand Prix, and it has been action from start to now here, and I don't expect that to stop anytime soon. Can we try and get a run on Jordan King, who is dragging those medium compounded tyres to within an inch of their life? Hopefully we'll get a run in towards the hairpin. Up the inside we go. Much superior braking power. And that's another move pulled off. Next up, Bottas then. Might be a lot more difficult, to get closer to the back of the Merc. There we go. End of lap 13. We're starting to see the front runners into the pits. So they're going to now go to the end of the Grand Prix there. So I think, actually, fair play to Sergio Perez. He was up in the net lead of this Grand Prix, but Bottas I think is also, Lance Stroll even. Bottas I think is trying to go to the end of the Grand Prix as well, so trying to make up a whole pit stop on the Merc might be a little bit of a challenge here. Have Mercedes finessed a bit of a strategy this weekend? Red Bull have done the same with Albon, but both myself and Hamilton definitely on the 2-stop. Lando Norris, I'm sure we're going to see him dive into the pit lane as well. Yes, he does, so the young Englishman into the pits as well at the end of lap 14 there. So he's done a really good job to get those tyres halfway through this Grand Prix there. But Albon now appearing back up into P4 of the race once he's got past him. So yeah, we got Mercedes and Red Bull on one strat, 212 Motorsport on the other. Which is going to pay off? If we get a safety car later on after we pit, that could be critical in this race. But at the moment, I really don't know. Maybe Bottas and Albon can't make this one-stop work anyway. I just have no idea. Oh, there we go. Hamilton behind us. Into the pits as we start lap 16. I want to try and get past Bottas, but it's probably going to be the end of the next lap we pit in. Oh, Bottas. Big wobble through the first corner. That's certainly going to help us stay a little bit closer. But Hamilton, I don't think he's even going to come out inside the top 10 here. So this is really not looking good at the moment if these guys are going to go to the end. But Bottas really struggling on his set of hard compound tyres. They're going to be side by side as we head up the hill, round the outside, through the first part of the S section here. Bottas keeps the nose there, but we've got him pulled off that move. Certainly one of my best moves so far of the season there. Now, We've got to try and break away. But is Bottas going to the end? Coming to the end of lap 17. We actually went purple in the first sector. This could have been quite a good lap, at least at somewhere close to the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but it's not going to matter. We're going to dive it in at the end of lap 17. We've got 11 laps to go for the checkered flag here from Shanghai, and this race so far has been an absolute cracker. I don't expect that to stop. I just missed out on who had an issue in this Grand Prix, but Bottas is going to re-inherit the lead. Albon is going to jump back up into P2 with Russell back up into P3 there. Gasly seems to be having a good race out, up in 5th. Not too sure what's happened there, but can't knock it for the AlphaTauri man. He actually dives into the pits, that's why he was up into 5th in this Grand Prix. But are we even going to be out still in the points here? Another fairly tidy stop, 3 seconds though. It's nothing to write home about. Yes, we are. Back out in P7 then. That's not that bad. But yeah, what's happened to Hamilton then? How has he lost so much time over the pit stop window? Hasn't taken us long though before we're back into the DRS of the young Spaniard of Carlos Sainz. Can we get a run down this back straightaway? We're coming from a long way back onto the straight. You can see we are gaining rather rapidly on the Mclaren. No, not quite close enough to go for anything that time round. There's 2 little puffs of smoke from the front wheels there as we just ever so slightly lock up in towards the hairpin there. Through the final corner though, a nice chunk of curb this time round. Hopefully we can get past Carlos back down in towards turn 1. We need to try and go for fastest lap as well here. We need the bonus point. Especially obviously if we're 2-stop in this Grand Prix. We need to be quicker throughout the stint there. But back him into 6th place then. Hopefully Stroll won't give us too many worries as well there. See just how much extra grip we've got on this rubber. Try to get the power down on the exit on the young Canadian, who seems to be having one of his best races in a long, long time. Going defensive on us. Down in towards the hairpin. A lot of contact, actually. Wasn't expecting him to put that much of a fight, but we get the move pulled off. Through the final corner of lap 19, a 1:30.8 is going to give the fastest lap bonus point.
Probably a lap or so short. We don't need to risk a DNF chasing records, so think about going down to mix 1 and lifting early into the corners.
So the team there still a little bit worried about fuel, but I'll be honest, we are absolutely fine in this Grand Prix there. George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo battling it out. Seem to really be costing each other a fair chunk of time at this stage of the day. Oh, Ricciardo, you can just see how slow he is going through there. 2 very different strategies now. Obviously, we're on fresh, quicker rubber than all of these guys. And oh, I almost thought about trying to show off just how much extra grip we had through the S's. I might still try it, actually. Look at that. How much earlier we're able to get on the power there. A big, late, bold move up the inside of the last of the late breakers, Danny Rick. But we're back up into 4th place. And hopefully it won't be long before we're back up into the podium here. What a turnaround it has been in this Grand Prix so far there. Despite even making a mistake early on. Race pace, well, qualifying pace, sorry. We seem to really struggle week in, week out at the moment. We managed to scrape pole last time out of Vietnam. But I'll be honest, I probably didn't deserve it. Race pace, though, week in, week out. We make progress. We get towards the front. And consistency is going to be key this season with how many cars seem to be competitive. Back up into P3 is George Russell. It's all kind of fishtaily out the final corner. We have only got 8 laps to go, though. And if Albon and Bottas are not pitting again, we might end up finding ourselves with a quiet run to the flag.
Gap to the teammate behind is 12.3 seconds.
5 laps to go then of this Grand Prix, and I think George Russell has absolutely shredded his rubber here. He's dropped back behind Carlos Sainz, and it's not even like he's sticking close to the Mclaren in these latter stages of the race. The gap to Albon as well is coming down, but not really sure it's going to be by enough. We are still pushing though. Don't want to give up hope just yet. Just under 2 laps to go then, and Albon, the gap seems to be coming down just a little bit more lap after lap here, so maybe we are going to see that Red Bull's tyres fall off the cliff, and perhaps there's going to be a last lap battle here. We're just trying to keep it clean, keep it tidy, and see if anything opens up. Coming on to the final lap then of this Grand Prix. Might have got my optimism up a little bit prematurely in this race there. That time round we took very little time out of Alex Albon. I can words, I do promise. But anyway, final lap then of this race. Bottas looks set to become our 4th different winner in 4 Grand Prix here. What a start to Season 4 it has been from a sort of pure entertainment side of things. But for us, though, it looks like it's going to be another podium without that coveted race victory here. Since, obviously, Season 1, we've won a race in every single season we've done in this series there. But again, so far, Season 4, a race victory has eluded us in the early stages of the World Championship. Bottas, though, perfect little race, perfect strategy, as well there is one of the Williams appears to be holding up Alex Albon just a little bit here. But Jeff just moaning on about fuel mixes with half a lap to go of this Grand Prix. George Russell, it might be a bit of a battle between him and our teammate Lewis Hamilton on the final lap of this Grand Prix, as Albon just gets around the outside of one of the Williams cars there. But in towards the final couple of corners then, it's been a tough old time for Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes. George Russell certainly seems to be the quicker of the two in that team at the moment. But out of the final corner, Bottas gets his first race victory of 2023 there. Albon comes through for another P2, and it's another podium for ourselves, but only P3.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. So let's review the updated drivers' standings. Mr. Monaco takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Chinese Grand Prix there. And actually, looking at the race results, quite a crazy shift around of results there. To be honest, my driver of the day is Carlos Sainz. I think he did a much better job than myself there in the end. But yeah, starting P9 though, I was really worried heading into that race, I'll be honest. We didn't really have much pace, didn't have much confidence in the car, but we pulled through. Race pace always seems to be a lot quicker, and had the Grand Prix been 2, maybe 3 more laps, we could have won it as well, I honestly believe, in the end there. But Bottas takes home his first race victory of the season there, his first race victory since probably, I'm just trying to think, midway through Season 2 of the My Team career mode. The Albon, though, what a man he is turning into in the early stages of Season 4. That comes through for P2 ahead of myself there with the fastest lap bonus point. Ricciardo in 4th means that Red Bull have jumped us in the Constructors' Championship as well there to lead for the first time in, what, since 2013? Probably, I'd imagine. So 10 years in Formula 1 there. Carlos Sainz in 5th. Like I said, though, fantastic job done by the McLaren to make the one-stop work as well there. Ahead of George Russell, who had a good recovery drive from 11th to 6th place there, despite having, I think, a few mechanical issues as well there. Lewis down in 7th. The two-stop strategy, yeah, really did hinder us today in the end there. But considering he started 7 places above us and finished 22 seconds behind us, yeah, a little bit worried with Hamilton in the end there. Lando in 8th, Esteban Ocon in 9th, and Charles Leclerc picking up Ferrari's only point from the weekend there. But I think one of my biggest disappointments, Lance Stroll How on earth was he running in like 5th or 6th place there late on and still managed to finish P15? I will never quite work out. But no other major surprises. Verstappen down in 12th, that was quite disappointing. Kvyat from 6th on the grid down in 13th as well. That was obviously a big disappointment. And then obviously Magnussen, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag there. But in terms of the championship, 1 point now separates myself and Alex Albon at the top of the standings there. George Russell still in P3, 12 back there, and that win moves Bottas up into 4th place as well there, just 4 points behind his teammate. Ricciardo and Hamilton down to 5th and 6th there, but it definitely seems like a big battle going on between Red Bull, ourselves, and the Mercedes there. Sainz moves himself, well, he holds on to 7th, but nice and clear in that 7th place ahead of Charles Leclerc and Verstappen there. Ocon makes some big gains after getting his first points on the board as well there, and that just leaves Danny Kvyat, Raikkonen, both Alphas, both Haas and both Williams yet to put points on the board there. Constructors-wise, though, we're down to P3. Just 8 points separate the top 3 in the championship there. Red Bull on top, 116 to Mercedes, 110 to our 108 there, as McLaren now best of the rest there, 2 points ahead of Ferrari there. Racing Point still in 6th ahead of Renault and AlphaTauri there, with obviously the bottom 3 still yet to score. But 4 different winners from 4 races. Brilliant battles going on in both championships. This season is shaping up to be the best so far of 212 Motorsport's My Team Career Mode. Thank you all so much for watching. Do make sure you get yourself subscribed. And yeah, we will be back soon, ready for round 5, where we head back to the infamous Zandvoort circuit. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.